Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you are doing good. Today let's see the overview of deployment manager. So I would be guiding through what are the courses for deployment manager and what are the terms that we need to be acquainted for deployment manager. Another important update I want to give is in our YouTube channel we have something called as community tab. In this community tab you will be listed with all the latest videos and with all the latest job openings I have found. So I'm not having any deal with any organization, just whatever I have seen on LinkedIn or from my friends' WhatsApp status or something. So I'm posting all the job opportunities here. Please feel free to share this for the people who are looking for the job. And not only that, we have playlists. In the playlists also, I have categorized all the videos so you can refer to the concepts accordingly. Before going to video, I want to share that I am available in TopMate now. So if you want some Pega career guidance, or if you want some Pega mock interviews, or if you want some information on interview questions, whatever it is, you can reach me personally in this TopMate. You can book a video meeting with me so that I can have one-to-one chat with you guys. Let's get started with our topic. So what is this use of deployment manager and why this is required? Normally we have something called as DevOps, which is like CI/CD pipeline we call. Normally, this DevOps is nothing but it is a practice where we will be having continuous integration and continuous delivery to quickly move our application from one environment to another environment. It could be from development to SI, UAT, and production. So we have many tools available in market. So Pega has bring up with one of the tool called as deployment manager. So like we have App Studio, Dev Studio, Admin Studio, and Prediction Studio. So like that, Pega has brought up something called as Deployment Manager Studio that is different. And coming to this is the architecture of deployment manager. Going into this, normally we have this development, QA, staging, production, right? Like those are termed as candidate systems, and the main thing where we perform this respect to deployments from like moving code from one environment to another environment, we would be calling that as orchestrator, which is like deployment manager. So this is separate application you have to configure, and there you have to configure the communication between this deployment manager and these candidate systems. So we would be doing our development here, okay? Then for deploying from code from one environment to another environment, normally we would be taking jar file and we would be logging to SI, staging, production, and you would be importing the packages. So instead of that, we are having a separate environment deployment manager, which is like a orchestrator. So it would be communicating between the different candidate systems. So we should be familiar with this word orchestrator and candidate systems, and how we are going to import this respect to like application, like package this application. I would be explaining with the use of pipelines. So in our deployment manager we configure some flows, that flows here named as pipelines, and it is like a case type which is having different stages and steps. So I would be showing only deployment pipeline as of now. So how many pipelines are there and what are the essential rules that you need to first configure for making this communication between deployment manager and our candidate system. So this orchestration system, as I have said, it hosts a deployment manager studio, and it is a set of services that enable user define, manage, and execute their application pipelines. So what are the different components you have to install? So in your orchestration system, like one of the environment, you have to deploy this Pega DevOps Foundation and Pega Deployment Manager. The latest deployment manager is 5.6.3. Okay, so these two are the important components that you have to deploy in your orchestration. So when you are deploying this, right, Pega Deployment Manager, it consists of some default operator IDs and authentication profiles. So this makes our job easy for making communication between orchestrator server and candidate system. And, in our candidate systems, like once you have configured this deployment manager, right, we have to install something in the respective environments. You have to suppose you are having a criteria like you want to promote code only from development to SA and staging, but you don't want to use deployment manager in production, then you no need to deploy this deployment manager in our candidate system. So in orchestrator system, you have to deploy these two components, and in our candidate system, you have to deploy Pega deployment manager. So by default, the components that are shipped in our operators and are like operator, DM release admin, and an authentication profiles. These are the OTB authentication profiles that we configure, like DM app admin, DM studio user, DM agent users. So what are the most important elements to be configured in our orchestrator system is, first, on orchestration, we need to give key store under security rules. Next, to enable communication from deployment manager, we need to configure some token profile. And on Condet system, we have to mention same key store that we have defined. So it will enable the communication between orchestration and candidate system. Next, we have to give an authentication profile. Already Pega has given OTB DM app admin authentication profile that you can use while configuring pipeline. So what is this pipeline and what are the different types of pipeline? So pipelines are like a sequence of tasks that we define on the system. So I would be taking you guys through one the pipeline, and we have different types of pipelines like business change pipeline, data migration pipeline, deployment pipeline, merge pipeline, upgrade pipeline. So in this video, I would be mainly focusing on deployment pipeline, and remaining pipelines I would be covering in part 2 of the video. And if you are so interested to learn, you can go through the course of this DevOps Studio, so you can understand more better way after going through my overview. I would be posting this link. So once you log into the orchestration system, which is our deployment manager, the main view looks like this. So here you can see four tabs like pipelines, reports, users, settings, and this is our operator ID. Okay, and if you click new, as I have mentioned in earlier slide, like there are different kinds of pipelines like business change, data migration, deployment, merge, upgrade. So any one of the pipeline you can select and you can start building your things. And here settings, if you go here, you can see general settings, and this general settings is about creating that this particular system orchestrator URL, and chatbot settings. If you want, you can enable that, then you can see one chatbot will be there to know the solutions of anything. You can interact with chatbot. If you don't want, you can just uncheck this as well. So this is one of the OTB feature given by Pega. We would be discussing this more deeper in our part 2 video. And here email configuration. So whenever we are working with our pipelines, if we want to send an email right to the respective users, we would be needing some information, so we can configure that email configuration, and these are authentication profiles. So these are the OTB authentication profiles given by Pega, and these are the users. So you can see list of user people and who are the people who are having different roles and privileges. So there are many privileges that are required because our respective deployment manager mainly interacts with some of the privileges like zipping it and unzipping and deployment and everything. So normally our app admin will be having these privileges like deployment, 6 task actions, and pipeline user will be having this, and super admin it will be having all the privileges over there. And if you want to switch back to Dev Studio, you can click here. Here you can see notification preferences. So this bell icon is nothing but our notification preferences. So whenever a deployment is aborted, you want to get an email, or if your deployment is completed, you want to get an email, you can give all these things like deployment started, task, and all. So this email is nothing but to your operator, you would be giving an email, right? So then with the settings where we have configured email, and it will be directly associated with this notification preferences, and if you don't want anything, you can disable this enable notifications and close it. And here profile, you can view your profile over here, and role you have. And if you want to switch to Dev Studio, you can click on Dev Studio. Mainly, our Dev Studio is useful only for setting up our repository and some of that authentication profile and other things that I have mentioned, like which are important. So it looks like a complete Dev Studio, and you can see our App Studio, sorry, application definition, which is a deployment manager. So you can see built on applications DevOps foundation, and these are the OTB rules sets that are given by Pega. So pipeline data, deployment manager, these are all the important rule sets that are required. So then only we can have this. And as I've said, like the communication between orchestration system and deployment system is through REST integration. So you can see Pega REST services that would be present already in OTB. And if you want to increase this DevOps foundation, you can see here 5.1, 5.3. These are the list of versions, DevOps foundations you can see. And you can upgrade to the latest thing as well. And you can just click save. It will be very useful for us to use the latest DevOps foundation as well for our deployment manager. And this is cases and data, and this is application wizard, documentation, integration, security. These are all the things that are available. And if you want to go back to the deployment manager, click on launch portal and click on deployment manager. So you will be going to the deployment manager here, and let's see what are the different things we can configure in our design systems when you create a deployment pipeline. So in this video I would be explaining only deployment pipeline and what are the different OOTB steps that are available in Pega product. So if you click on the deployment, you can see there is some deployment available here. So suppose this is the deployment IT. So this is Pega GP release. So once you have opened a deployment pipeline, right? This is just a sample one given by Pega OTB. So as I said, so these are all our system, so quality assurance, development, staging, and production. So normally if you configure a pipeline, you would be creating one pipeline for one rule set. That is like good practice. So if you want to deploy code from development to SI, then UAT, then production, so you can configure one pipeline at a stretch. So from development, if you want to deploy SI, you can just click on start deployment after configuring your rule set version, application, and everything. Once SI testing is finished, then you can click on this respective pipeline and click start development. Then from SI, it would be going to staging. On the production day also, you can click on start deployment. So from staging, it would be going to production. Okay, this is the basic rule. Suppose now, what are the things we can configure in OOTB and what does a deployment pipeline consist of? To know about this, you can click on actions, and here you can see normally if you want to disable, you can click a disable. So this respective pipeline will be disabled. So example, you can take a rule set some 02, 01, 05. That rule set you have some production deployment, so you would be using that respective pipeline. Once production is done, you can click on disable. So in future if someone tries to click on start deployment, it won't work out because already we have disabled. And if you want to see the view report also, you can see the deployment history over there. And this is run ad hoc task, and this is diagnose pipeline. So if there are any errors, you can click on this and you can see. Now I would be showing what does and how does we can configure the pipeline for at least one environment and what are the OOTB tasks that are present. Now I'm clicking edit pipeline. Now here you can see there are three tabs: application details, artifact management, and pipeline. These are the three tabs, and you can click save also. So now you know that from development environment we have to generate an artifact. That artifact we have to deploy in QA, and same artifact can be deployed in staging and same artifact in production. Okay, and don't get confused with this publish to production. This publish to production is an OTB step. That means you are directly deploying that respective package in the respective environment. So Normally we have case type model, right, in like different stages and steps. So like this is also like that. So each stage represents one environment, like development, QA, staging, production. If you don't want something to be like, you don't want to use this for production, you can just click on this and delete the stage. If you don't want to go for staging, then you click on this and you delete the respective staging. Why? Because as I have said in previous slide, like on the target design system also, we have to deploy our deployment manager. That's why if it is not available on the respective environment, we can remove it. Now you have selected development. When you have selected development, you have to give our environment URL and authentication profile. So you can mention like why automatically move to next stage or wait for a user action. So now what are the OTB tasks? Normally we having steps, right, in normal case management. Here they have defined as tasks. So first is generate artifact, because that is the main thing. So it is not a thumb rule like first you have to give generate artifact. You can give some other things also, like click on task. So you can see these are the different OOTB things that are available in Pega, which are nothing but you can add suiting to your business need and complying with your application needs. So here check guardrail score. So if I want to check guardrail score, then only I want to generate artifact, means I can give this check guardrail score before I can add as below, like that. So see here I can give 97. So if you want okay, 90 is also fine for me, then you can give 90. But Pega's recommendation is to have your application guardrail score as 97, which is a quality thing. Next, deploy application. For development, there is no required, because we are not deploying application, we are generating artifact from development and we are moving to the next stage. Like that, if you have some Selenium testing and you want to verify some security checklist, then you can select this verify security checklist. Prepare the application for secure deployment. Next important, like perform. Suppose you want something like you have run that and you want someone to give a approve button or something. If you give this man performing manual setup, right, so it would be asking to whom it needs to be assigned. You can see this is I used to assign deployment for approval to give an operator email. So I can give some email or operator, so when they log in they can click on approve or reject. Okay. And publish to production, refresh application quality. Suppose there is like you want to run some Pega unit testing, or you want to run some Pega Jenkins task, those also you can give in based on your businesses. You can give this. And this is a trigger deployment. This task will trigger deployment of the specified application pipeline. Example, you are creating a pipeline and that pipeline is dependent on another pipeline. To trigger another pipeline from this pipeline, you can use this trigger deployment. So whenever the step reaches here, right, one after the other, it would be doing that. So this is like in development you are generating artifact. Now you are deploying to QA, example SA environment. So we would be first deploying the application, then we would be checking guardrail score whether because the application compliance should be there. Suppose here you have configured 95, but here you have configured 90. These are guardrail score here 90. So when you click on start deployment, right, here it will pass, like it will take artifact and here it will deploy, but it won't be committing the changes. Why? Because here guardrail score is 95 we have kept, so it will block here, stating that it has not reached the threshold value, so the deployment can't be processed. So automatically this particular deployment application, like it would be taking the jar and placing in environment, like in SA environment, but it won't commit the changes. Like that you can configure whatever task you want for the respective environments. And see here they have given like approve for production, like this DM release admin, this is a direct operator ID they have mentioned. So whenever it is given, right, like that. And the most important thing, so quality assurance, everything is like you are deploying a application and all. Then for committing changes to the respective environment, so now you want to commit the changes to the respective environments, then you have to give one that publish to production. Then only say publish to promote the application to production repository. So it is like one of the OTB thing that is available in Pega. Next, artifact management. As we have discussed, repository, file repository is main important. That repository of orchestrator system and the target system, that artifact management, where is the repository you would be giving, see, deployment repository and production repository. So this is OOTB repository. You can click on this and it will open your repository, whatever you have configured. If you have customized your own repository, you can give your repository name over here. That repository should be available in both. So in this pipeline, as we have already discussed the artifact management, now we have to go to application details. So in this application details, right, we have to give this application packaging environment. So we are importing our code, like where we are generating package in development. So here you have to give our development URL, because we are packaging that respective rule set from here. And it's not like we should not create product rule. Suppose you are going to deploy so we have some deploy like application like HR app, in that you want to promote some global rule set and version 020204 example. So you have to create product rule in this respective rule set for the respective application. Then if you have to give that application, as you have giving the dev URL, you will get the application, and what is the application version context, that also you have to give. Normally for all the applications we would be having access group, right, administrator access group. It is better to give administrator access group only, because it would be having all the privileges for making that package and zipping and unzipping to the next environment. And this is the product rule that you define for the respective version, and this is the pipeline name. And if you want to promote test cases like scenario testing, if you are doing, also you want to create some unit testing and you want to promote that to higher environments, you can give this. If you do not want, you just uncheck this, so those won't be given. And if you want to give some dependencies on application name, version, and any pipeline also, that you can specify over here. Once you are giving like that, and you are done with this, and you can click save. Once you are done with the configuration, right, and you can click start deployment. So all the steps in the respective environment will be going. And if there are any manual tasks that are there that we have to give, and we can do it. Suppose if you want to delete the pipeline, you can click on this delete pipeline, and it would be asking message like why you want to delete. And these are like archive pipelines, and this is like active pipelines. And you see here we are having a error, and here you can see start new deployment. So if you click deployment, it would be asking for what you are starting this. You can give like deploying some user story, okay, and you click submit. Then it would be starting this deployment. Actually it is having error with the generate artifact. Just if you click on this pipeline, you can see there is an internal processing error. So that's why this respective deployment has been paused. In this way you can diagnose it. So in my next video regarding deployment manager, we would be going through the OTB privileges that are there, and how we can configure more things in this deployment manager, and what are the different tabs that are available for other pipelines and all. Thanks for watching this video. Hope I have covered most of the overview of this deployment manager and deployment pipeline. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you have liked the content. Please feel free to subscribe to this channel, and check community tab for regular updates, and click on bell notifications.